time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Hey, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. Welcome back to the live stream. What a day it is to be a fan of the Boring Company and Tesla, because big news about Las Vegas. Las Vegas has officially released plans with the Boring Company for what is intended to be the first major expansion of the Boring Company loop in this city. And it is a belter of an extension. Really big. Going to talk about how big it is in the next few slides, and also talk about potentially how much it's going to cost and how much time it could potentially take to build. Obviously, that's dependent on how many resources they throw at this particular job. So let's go in and have a look who's with us today. Hello everyone who's joining us. Thank you so much. Okay, so as you can see, this is our map. This is what we're going to be studying today. This is a big development for the Boring Company because they're going into very deep water here in proposing a scheme of this size. I personally think it is the perfect size. It is actually smaller, or slightly smaller, than some other schemes they've proposed in the past, including the Washington-Baltimore scheme and the scheme that will never ever happen that was in Australia. So here it is. Here's the scheme. You can't quite read it because it's positioned at the wrong angle, but not to worry. This will just give you a layout of what exactly is going to happen in Las Vegas. So as you are aware, this is the current project that we are due, or the Boring Company is due to complete in the next 7 weeks. This is the extension to the Encore, which is due to start next year, and then there's also this extension here that's quite weird, and it goes to Resorts World there. So all this in blue, that is the proposed main arterial tunnel or artery tunnels. We also have these spurs, or what do they, or turnaround points. I find them quite fascinating. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, because it's all well and good having these ones here, but how in the hell is that going to work there? Because that is literally less than 150 meters. But they might not necessarily need or want to build those particular turnarounds. It might be more important to do these. So let's have a look at our costings of potentially what this is going to set back the Boring Company and whoever else is going to contribute to this scheme. That's another important thing. Who is going to pay for this? Is it going to be purely the Boring Company and maybe with some help from Tesla? Is Elon going to back this himself? Is it going to be financed via the various casinos? That's all up in the air. I don't have the answers for you at the moment, but I suspect we will hear something in the medium to long term in regards to the actual payment of that. I suspect that it will be done in around 5 or 6 stages by the Boring Company, and they will pay for it in full themselves and have almost 100% ownership of this particular system. Let's see if we've got any interesting questions so far. Turnarounds. So what that essentially is an area where you're heading northbound and you need to turn around. So say you were heading from the Sahara and you were going up here and you wanted to get back round to Resorts World, you could come across here in this area here, and then you come back round to Resorts World there. As you can see, it is a big expansion in comparison to what is happening here at the convention centre. So the convention centre is 0.827 miles in total length. The number of tunnels brings that up to 1.65 miles. So this 38.24 miles, which is rather impressive. I'm expecting that to cost in and around 8 to 9 million per mile. So we end up with around 335 or around 336 million dollars, which is extremely large. Extremely large. They will probably break that down into 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different sections, which they will build over time. So it becomes a lot more manageable when it's around 55 to 60 million dollars per section. In terms of these turnaround points, these areas here and here and here and here, they're fairly short. I have 14 turnaround points, so we're getting around 5.81 miles. However, at this present moment in time, I'm unsure how exactly they're going to construct them. It might be the case that they use TBMs, probably is the case, but they may be forced to use road headers if the tunnel length is below 600 meters. Below 500 meters, maybe they'll have to use other methods, which is not essentially a terrible thing, because you can attack it from both ends fairly quickly, but it just adds to the cost. So you're talking in and around 8.5 to 9.5 million per mile, if not slightly higher than that. So you're getting around 55.48 million per this section. There's also a lot of unknowns which I don't have at the moment, which I'll probably try to do a costing at some point in the future. So obviously you're going to have some launch pits. Now Proof Rock is being launched via a cradle system, where it is launched basically off a frame into the ground at a 1 in 4 gradient. I'm unsure if they're going to use that system for this project, because they will probably try and keep everything below ground. Frankly, I'm not too sure on that one. I might probably, if I was going to have a guess, it'll be a combination of launch pits, reception shafts, and some of this porpoising, as they like to call it at the Boring Company. There will be ramps, whether that is built via porpoising or this Europe method, or maybe they'll build them manually using road headers. Who knows? The advantage of using lots of road headers is that you could potentially have, 6, 8, 10, maybe even 12 different machines on site or on the various sites at any one time. So you can easily just blitz through the various ramps that you need. You're easily talking in and around the region of maybe 40 ramps, maybe in that kind of ballpark. Underground stations, I suspect there will be maybe 2, maybe 3. There may be one here at the Fremont Street Experience. There will absolutely definitely be one. Where is the stadium? Elysian Stadium here. There's the stadium there. There'll definitely be one there. There'll definitely be one here near the airport. And there could potentially be one near the Stratosphere, although I'm not sure about that one. Probably not, but maybe they might request one. Who knows? Let me change the pen colour. I think red looks better. So as you can see, it links up all the major casinos. Now, I don't know Las Vegas that well. I've never been, but quite a few of these are very well-known casinos. Caesar's Palace, obviously. Planet Hollywood. The Bellagio. What else do I know? MGM Grand is obviously... I've watched plenty of boxing on the TV that's been at the MGM Grand. I've heard of Excalibur, Tropicana as well, Luxor, Mandalay Bay, obviously quite famous. Heard of the Palms. There's probably some obvious ones here that I'm not actually. Circus. Is that Circus Soleil? I don't know. Anyway, I think potentially could be 4. Probably less. Probably 3. But let's put 4 as safety. Vehicles, AEVs, autonomous electric vehicles. Obviously, the Boring Company is looking to use Tesla vehicles at this present moment in time. As you know, I'm not massively keen on that idea. However, it's still workable. Tesla vehicles are the best battery electric vehicles that you can buy. I just wish they had a vehicle that could seat 10, 12, maybe even 14 people. As a result, you're going to probably need 40 to 50% more vehicles in the system, which is not a big deal when you've got a system of this size. 38.24 miles is absolutely enormous. You can get an absolute ton of vehicles in there. So, you're talking, well, I think somewhere close to 1,000, maybe even more than that. Easily 1,000 vehicles, probably more than that. In terms of ventilation shafts, you're probably going to have a ventilation shaft maybe every 600, 700 meters. So you're talking in excess of 85 vent shafts. Again, there's a cost to that. It'd probably be more than that actually. Probably be closer to 90. Well, this is just to give you an idea of how much work is going to be required to build a system of this size. It is absolutely enormous. It basically covers the entire strip, all the major areas, all the important places in Las Vegas are covered by this loop, which is absolutely outstanding. I suspect the top speed in this system will be somewhere between 115 miles per hour and 140 miles per hour, in that kind of ballpark. Probably likely around 125 miles per hour. But yeah, another thing that's worth noting as well, which might surprise some of you, but it hasn't really surprised me. This is now a segregated system. The main artery line, the blue line here, is not connected underground to this system. This is just going to basically operate as its own little mass transit shuttle service. It's going to run at very low speeds. It was basically a proof of concept, which has worked out very, very nicely. I suspect at some point the Boring Company might even sell that system off to distance themselves from it. And maybe subcontract it out to someone else, who knows. But yeah, you won't be able to get on this and then get off at the convention centre, I suspect. I'm not sure what that is there, blue marks. Anyway, so that is basically everything I know about this system. This bit here is to be confirmed or to be planned. Potentially it'll be an above ground road system. It won't be tunnels. That makes sense, if you can do that above ground for $2.5 million per mile, you might as well do that. And then you just reduce the speed to 40 miles per hour at that point there, which doesn't really matter because you've got lots of room there, and then you can park up vehicles over here. Okay, so here's our full system. As far as I know, that's basically everything I know about this particular system. Have they got planning approval yet? No. Are they actually seeking planning approval at this very moment in time? No. But I suspect they have put these plans out to see how people react to it, and then based on those reactions, they may modify them or if they're happy with it, then put it in for full planning approval with all the various bodies. Okay, so this is a live stream Q&A session. I'm looking for questions, all questions. If you just want to talk about other projects or battery electric vehicles or transport or green energy, please ask me anything you want. I'm happy to answer all questions. that are in some way related to Elon Musk or the future of this great planet. Okay, so let's start off. Might be a tight loop. I like it. That doesn't look too good, does it? Can we all see that? Can everyone see that? I don't know. I would think that probably they wouldn't, in my opinion, but I just think you want to avoid as many mechanical elements as you possibly can. So if you can just have a road with a very tight turning radius, maybe it could go down at a gradient, a 1 in 7 gradient, and then come back up. So you can maybe extend it to 180 meters, 200 meters. There might be other ways of doing it, but yeah, I don't really like the ideas of turntables. Unless someone, if you can draw it for me and to show me how it works, then that's great. Yeah, could be. Could be. It's difficult to say. I think if they really go at it with 10 TBMs, they've not even built 2 proof rocks at the moment. There's just the 1 proof rock. But if they had 10 proof rock TBMs and 10, experienced tunneling teams, potentially they might be able to. That's even worse. They might be able to bang this out in under 5 years. I think easily. Maybe closer to 4 years. I think. It really depends on how hard they can push the tunnel boring machines. If they're getting, 60, 70 meters a day, it's good, but it's not really going to cut it. If they're getting closer to 100 meters a day, maybe above that, 120 meters a day, they're really going to smash this out of the park, maybe under 4 years, but they will need an absolute shit ton of TBMs. They really will need an absolute shit ton of them. Yeah, exactly. This is the real acid test for the Boring Company. If the Boring Company can't make this work, if this project is delayed massively, if it ends up costing, $700 million, if it ends up, gridlocked or in any kind of way, then it's just going to destroy the future prospects of the Boring Company. That's why I think they should build it in 6 stages. And just really focus on getting parts of it working first, and then they can kind of work on perfecting the way vehicles are entering and exiting the system. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm not sure if they're going to have ramps at every single casino, or are they going to have ramps every so often and then they use the surface roads. That's still to be determined. I don't think that they can just drive vehicles, autonomous electric vehicles, on the surface at the moment with current regulations. So again, you might be forced into having separate ramps at every single casino, which adds to the cost. Yeah, it needs to be autonomous. Big time. Big time. Let me see if I can find another slide that has got a better contrast than that. Let's try this one. I don't really like that one either. Let's try this one. I don't think that looks very good either. That looks a bit better. It's hard to say. I think they need somewhere close to maybe 6 to 10, really. The more TBMs you can have working simultaneously and you can complete the jobs concurrently, the faster they will complete this project. It's just common sense. They've got to have as many TBMs working at the same time as possible. If they're just relying on 4 TBMs, all it takes is 1 TBM to get stuck, and the whole project really just, you're losing months and months and months. So you're better off having somewhere close to 10 TBMs, I think. Yeah, to some extent that is true. Yeah, I think people are still thinking that, it's complicated to build vehicles, and they think, because ICE vehicles or internal combustion engine vehicles are complicated to build, but with electric vehicles, you essentially have a skateboard, and then what you drop onto that skateboard can be pretty much anything you want. So, for example, with the Model X platform, you could easily drop a much bigger, longer body on the Model X platform. It would work very well with that, and you could adapt it to include the 4680 cells, and then you could easily get 8 seats into that autonomous electric vehicle, and that's a real bonus for you. But something potentially like the Cybertruck, where you've got the body on frame, I think I'm saying that right, where the actual frame of the body takes the load rather than the actual chassis. Something like that potentially you could adapt and build on an existing production line as well. Maybe at Texas, and you could easily have 12 to 14 to maybe even 16 seat vehicles. But you'll have a mix of vehicles. You'll have Model X's and Model 3s, and then you'll have these big autonomous electric vehicles, so you'll have the best of all worlds. Yeah. So there's no reason why the vehicle can't go into the system, drive around at 140 miles per hour or 125 miles per hour, and then they decide, look, we're going to go on the surface and we're going to operate a bit like an Uber and drive in normal traffic. That could happen as well. You just need the regulations to fall in line with what the Boring Company and the Tesla Robo Taxi service could potentially achieve. I think that'd be a great thing, that if Las Vegas opened up, or the state of Nevada opened up to encourage more autonomous vehicles with improved regulations. Yeah, I think it's still a skateboard though in terms of how it's laid out. It's just they've removed all the non-critical components. So the battery pack is still in the same place. It's just that it's not the modules. But you still got motors, and you still, the connections between those motors are still there, and you still got your inverters and things like that. So it's definitely possible. I mean, Tesla is going to be absolutely raking in extremely large amounts of money over the next, 3 or 4 years. They're going to have enough money to build a platform specifically for the Boring Company. It's not like it's going to lose them that much money when all the other platforms, the semi-truck, Cybertruck, Model Y, Model 3, Roadster, are absolutely just, blowing away every kind of conceivable known gross margin that has ever been common in the automotive industry. Yeah, so on the Boring Company website, they do talk about things like freight. They do talk about things like utility services. They do talk about things like water, which pleases me greatly because I spent quite a bit of my career working in the water industry down in the south of England. And I think that the water industry is crying out for solutions where we can have reservoirs quite far away from where the water is required. So I worked on a scheme to build like a reservoir in Oxfordshire, and it wasn't a huge reservoir. I mean, it's still quite big, but it was fairly deep, but it didn't cover a massive area. Lots and lots of people made a big song and dance about it. It got cancelled. it was a great scheme. It made perfect sense. It was cost effective. Now that same community is suffering water shortages every other year. So they've kind of kicked themselves in the foot. But if you can move that reservoir, you know, let's say somewhere like nearby to Leicester or somewhere like that, and then you could take that water and take it to where it's needed, that would be really very, very useful for the water industry. And it would be supported by government. So you've got, you know, a government, you know, funded project, and that would be easy money for the boring company, because all you got to do is one tunnel. It can go perfectly straight. You can go under the fields. There's no internal finishes whatsoever. It's just essentially a tunnel that's watertight, and then you just put water in it. So it's nice and easy. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea, because they might only need to be building, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 vehicles per week, if that. Yeah, a shit ton. I'm a little bit concerned about the bricks, because I had a conversation with someone and I kind of had a rethink about the bricks, and I need to see them. I need to have a look and see what they look like, because aesthetically I don't think they look that amazing, and I'm just thinking, who would want to build a house with bricks that essentially don't look that spectacular? But that could change depending on the soil conditions, the strata. So it might be really unique. I don't know. I need to look at it. But you know, for a mile of tunnel, you'd need to be selling, you know, many hundreds of thousands of bricks. Shit's on 3. I love that. Yeah, I love it. Oh, Tobias. Yeah, I mean, it's just you have to slow down quite considerably. Even the Autobahn in Germany, the turning radius, or the radii of the curves on high speed sections need to be, it's almost, I believe, 1 kilometer, so like around 900 meters, 1,000 meters, in that kind of ballpark. So the vehicles would have to slow down quite considerably. They'd then have to rejoin the system. Can they get up to speed quick enough? You know, if they can't get up to speed quick enough, you're going to have to leave quite big gaps in between vehicles or in between platoons. That potentially could be quite a difficult issue to resolve. So maybe you'd have to run a separate tunnel parallel to your arterial tunnel. It would have to be at least, you know, 300, maybe even 400 meters long to get that vehicle up to speed, so it can then join or merge into the existing high-speed tunnel network. Yeah. Well, it like you say, you know, you'd have to have 100 proof rocks, and that would take quite a while to build. But yeah, I think that's the way to go. Again, there's just a massive shortage of people to work in the mining sector and in the tunneling sector. You'd have to retrain hundreds of people. It's very, very difficult. The boring company needs to almost set up like a tunneling university, and this has been talked about in the past by Steve Davis. So hopefully at some point they do set up a tunneling university, and then they can get lots of young people fascinated by tunneling again, because it's a very niche industry, and the people that I speak to who have worked in the industry or currently work in the industry tend to be getting towards the end of their careers. Where's he reading the questions? I'm just reading them off the YouTube feed, and then I have like a comment section on here on the Ecamm Live. It's not coming through that great. Next time I just need to have a screen that's just white. I do have a Discord server if you'd like to join. It is in the links below. If you have not done so already, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really helpful. And if you really enjoy my content and you're really, you know, fascinated by the Boring Company and what they're doing, please consider supporting me on Patreon for just $2 per month. Thank you so much if you do that. So many new Patreons recently. including some of my good friends from the YouTube channel To The Future, Sebastian and Jishwen. They are supporting my channel now, which is an amazing thing because I really love their channel. And the fact that they're supporting me is really like a big boost for my confidence. Thank you so much. And all my other Patreons, I have 13 Patreons now. Yeah, and the I just realised that's Saitama, isn't it, on your picture? The Glasgow subway is really, really narrow. I believe the Glasgow subway is like 10 foot 8 inch diameter or something like that. It's really tiny. The Glasgow subway is one of those subways that should have been massively extended but never was. And as a result, it's kind of a bit of a box, really. But yeah. How wide are these tunnels? So external diameter is just under 14 foot, and the internal diameter is 12 foot 5.5 inches, I believe. 12 foot 5.5, 12 foot 6.5 inches is the internal diameter. The external diameter is just under 14 foot, if I believe correctly. That's correct. In fact, can I just bear with me? See, there we go. Is see, that's much better. Why did I not think of that before? Ah, can you see it now? Can you see it now, Mr. Kane? Haha, look who it is. It's my good friend, Warren Redlick. Warren, how are you, my friend? Nice to talk to you today, as always. And, yeah, what a day. What a day to be the only Boring Company channel out there. It's fascinating to read about what's going on at the moment with the Boring Company, and wow, it's going to be a big extension in Las Vegas. This is the project that either makes or breaks the Boring Company. What can I say? It's going to be something very, very special. Yeah. So these are numbers that I'm pulling up at the moment. It seems expensive, but if this was an underground rail system, you'd be talking about closer to 2 billion, probably, maybe about 1.5 billion. So in my mind, it's great value for money. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question, guys, and then I'm going to log off. Thank you so much for everyone asking really sublime questions today. It is an exciting day to be a fan of Elon Musk and the future, because if this really does happen, wow, oh wow, are we going to be busy on this channel talking about this project, because it is an absolute beast. What a beast. Look at it. It connects everything that is worth connecting to on the Las Vegas Strip, and north of that is there even the stratosphere, which I'm sure I'm going to visit next year. So, final questions. So, well, that's not very good, is it? So, what makes you think that there is going to be a malfunction? It's very, very unlikely. It's an autonomous electric vehicle. There's no human to make a mistake. So straight away that removes 90% of the problems. The probability of a blowout based on modern tyre monitoring equipment and possibly something even better that Tesla might develop, or the Boeing company, means that the probability of a blowout is next to zero. Even in the event that a vehicle develops a malfunction and starts to slow down, all the vehicles behind can begin slowing down at a much quicker rate. The vehicle's not just going to suddenly stop dead. It's going to take time to slow down. Other vehicles can slow down behind it. They will react 10 times quicker than any human. It's not, there's not going to be an accident. And that sort of thing might only happen every 4 or 5 years. And if it does, it just causes a lot of inconvenience for an hour, and then everyone gets back up to normal. The probability of an accident happening in a loop system is equivalent to me going outside now and being struck by lightning. And you might think that is, a bit of an excessive example, but that is probably very, very close to the truth when the Boring Company and Tesla build out this system. I'll give you a little hint as well. I am currently working with someone, or someone has reached out to me, and we're going to produce, or they are going to produce, and then I hopefully am going to present to you, because they are the people with the expertise, a model of a similar system in Las Vegas, and we're going to show you all how many people potentially could use this system in any given day or any given hour. And I think it's going to blow all your minds if the calculations that I'm running are even 50% correct. I have a slightly different opinion on this. I was not aware, actually, and I don't know why I wasn't aware, but I've never really measured the distance between LA and Las Vegas, and it is a long way away. I never realised it, but I believe it's something like 240 miles or somewhere in that region, 200 to 240 miles. That is a long way. Now remember, Brightline, who operate a high-speed rail network in Florida, are going to be building a high-speed train service from Las Vegas to LA. That is potentially a bit worrying, because that would be quite a lot of competition, and they would be able to achieve faster speeds. So the only way that we could basically beat them is by building it out ourselves, or the Boring Company building it out a lot faster than they can. But I just don't see that at the moment, and I think the Boring Company should focus on other projects. Yeah, exactly, David. That's correct. I agree. Boeing, I'm not sure where that reference came from, but I kind of agree. Seems like I heard from you before. I agree, Warren. And the reason I've kind of gone for those numbers is I would rather be over and be proven wrong than be really underneath what it actually costs. So I think there's a lot of work to do on Proof-Rock at the moment. I think that it's still in its initial stages of being tested and calibrated and refined, as it were. So I think that initially it's going to be in that kind of region in between sort of 7.5 and coming up to 9 million per mile. But I have every confidence that the Boring Company is going to reduce that considerably over time. I still think even at those kind of numbers, it is just far more economical than any other mass transit system you could ever conceive. So I'm just basically, just to summarise, I'm just playing it safe, Warren. That's the reason. Yeah, you know what? I get very, very mixed responses to Brightline. It's very interesting that you should say that, Warren. And possibly I should have asked you about this, because you live in the region, don't you? But there is another YouTube channel. What is it called? High Speed USA or something along those lines. And that is a kind of someone similar to me, really, who's kind of focusing on a specific topic, and their specific topic is high-speed rail in the United States of America. And he absolutely raves about Brightline. He say, "Oh, Brightline's a huge success." I mean, I don't know how. Apparently, they're making money, which is a very rare thing for a train operator to do in the United States, other than maybe freight. But if they're making money, I think that's a decent start. Whether they'll actually build that scheme going from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, it remains to be seen. Yeah. Have you ever used it, Warren? What do you think? Yeah, Johnny's always here. He gets here in the end, which I like. And he's also was here from the beginning. Right, last one. I'm going to answer this last one from Paul Ollerhead. Any reason the Boeing company can't have overground areas between cities, even if they just cheap buried them? It's a massive cheaper than... that is a great question. And funnily enough, myself and Warren spoke about this, I believe, or myself and someone else spoke about this on one of Warren's tweets. There is a potentially third way of building a network for the Boeing company. Is not obviously you've got above ground things, so you've got your flyovers, you've got underground tunnels. You also potentially could, and this goes for the Hyperloop as well. You could potentially do cut and cover. So essentially, you create your excavation, you drop your tunnel in or your tubes, and then you weld them together, and then you cover it up, and there you go. And that's how a lot of the existing underground system in London was built initially, and in some other cities as well. Yeah, apparently they're going to... this is just off the top of my head, but I think they're going to Disneyland, I believe, or somewhere near Disneyland with Brightline. I think it's been delayed, though, at the moment, but they have quite big plans. I mean, the trains look great. They look great, but like you say, it's difficult in the USA to build things. It takes time, whereas the Boeing company, hopefully, can get around that and build things a lot quicker, which gives the Boeing company a massive advantage over other operators. And obviously, it doesn't require a driver, and Brightline use diesel, so it's not exactly great for the environment, is it? Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this live feed today. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful questions. And please consider liking and subscribing to the video and supporting me on Patreon. If you've not done so, please come and ask me some questions on Discord. I'm happy to answer any questions that you wish to put towards me. Okay, thank you, everyone. And remember, guys, don't be boring. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Oh, baby, a triple! Oh,